Reports coming out of Iraq and Syria in the last 36 to 48 hours are truly horrifying. They detail a systematic approach by Islamic State and its fighters across the region, a systematic approach to raping children, to raping women in general, to human sex trafficking and slavery, all done in the name of God. In fact, according to those who are practicing it, it is as much a religious act as the prayers some of these people are offering before and after they rape these children and women. The details are horrific, and you can read about them if you want to. There are a couple of issues, however, which we must address. First, some are arguing that this is endemic and inherent to Islam. They are wrong. Others are saying this has nothing to do with religion at all. They are also wrong. In fact, there is plenty of material in the Qu'ran and in the Hadith, the oral traditions, which legitimate this kind of behavior. This is not made up, and this is not simply choosing an occasional verse for an otherwise sick person to justify themselves. There is a problem within a community that can do this. But let's be clear, it is not only an issue of how Islam treats its scripture. In fact, Hebrew Bible, Deuteronomy 21, details what an Israelite soldier is allowed to do when he sees a woman who captures his fancy. To be true, it does allow her a certain period of mourning, and he takes her as a wife, is not allowed to take her as a slave, and rape is not on the table. But somehow I don't really believe that's how a woman 3,000 years ago would have felt as an Israelite soldier sacked her village and took her back to the Holy Land. It's also true there is no historic evidence of those laws ever being used by anyone in the last 3,000 years. But there it is in the Hebrew Bible. And when it comes to Christian tradition, we don't have to go back thousands of years to see the Bible used to justify horrific things. In fact, similar arguments about slavery were made throughout the Civil War, and even following it by preachers across the American South. And more recently, we still have some Christians who open the Bible, the New Testament, and try and explain that marital rape doesn't exist, that it's not possible. So what we have is a problem across traditions when people take them and use them to ugly ends. But simply saying that material isn't part of the tradition won't do. It is in fact the task of people within the tradition to take on that material and make religious arguments against religious arguments, and to take on their community and speak out. So I hope we will see a global movement from within Islam that rises up against not only Islamic State, the military force, and not because they disagree with them because they're Sunni and Shia are leading the fight against them, but because this practice must stop. And it is not only a movement from within Islam that must happen. The fact is, we can no longer say all of us, Christian, Muslim, Jew, atheist, Buddhist, Hindu, American, Iranian, Israeli, Palestinian, it doesn't matter. We can never say again, and will not be able to say when we look back on this moment in history, that we didn't know this was happening. We now know. And the only question really is, what are we going to do about it?